Inginocchiatevi, nel nome del Padre, del Figlio, dello Spirito Santo.
In 3 hours, more than 500 civilians were killed. Over 100 of them were children. The youngest? Just 20 days old. This is Beneath the Surface Echoes, where every story has a hidden side. I came here to understand how a village declared safe became a cemetery. By the summer of 1944, Italy was cut in half. The Allies pushed north from Rome. The Germans entrenched behind the Gothic Line, a vast system of bunkers, trenches, and minefields stretching across the Apennine Mountains. This was more than a military frontier. It was a line drawn across civilian life. Amid that chaos, Sant'Anna di Stazzema was declared a zona bianca, a white zone, a pact of protection. No fighting, no raids. And so, families came. Farmers whose fields had been burned, mothers carrying children, the elderly unable to flee further. By August, the population of Sant'Anna had swelled from about 400 to over 800 people. They believed this was safety. They believed the village was beyond the reach of war.
Nein, dieser Weg, wir schlagen hier zu.
But the German command saw something else. To them, the swelling of civilians was not proof of peace. It was proof of guilt. They believed partisans were hiding in the forests, sheltered by villagers. And in the logic of Nazi reprisal, suspicion alone was enough. Sant'Anna lay inside a zona militare, a military zone where SS units had absolute freedom to act without reporting crimes. The order against the village came from local commanders. For them, Sant'Anna was not a sanctuary. It was a target, and the villagers had no idea what was coming. August 12th, 1944. At dawn, 3 SS columns climbed toward Sant'Anna. A 4th sealed off the valley. They were not alone. Guiding them were Italians, men of the Brigate Nere, the fascist Black Brigades, neighbors who had chosen the side of the occupier. They knew the terrain, the paths, the homes. Without them, Sant'Anna might have been spared. With them, the trap was complete. By 7 a.m., villagers were dragged from their homes, families pushed into barns, stables, and the church square. They believed it was only an interrogation.
Qualcuno di voi sa dov'è lui?
Years later, Spike Lee's film Miracle at St. Anna tried to capture that morning. In his version, the SS demanded names of partisans, and the parish priest faced an impossible choice. It is a dramatization, but one that reflects the brutality of what happened here.
Uno minuto. Inginocchiatevi. Nel nome del Padre.
Jawohl, Herr Major. Meldung aus dem Hauptquartier.
Dello Spirito Santo. Jawohl. Padre nostro che sei nei cieli, sia santificato il tuo nome. Venga il tuo regno. Sia fatta la tua volontà. Come in cielo, così in terra.
What the film imagines was a demand for names, but in reality, there were no names to give. No partisans hidden in Sant'Anna that morning. Only civilians, women, children, the elderly. And still, Grenades were thrown into cellars, machine guns fired into stables, houses set alight with families locked inside. By mid-morning, silence. The toll, about 560 civilians, among them around 130 children. The youngest, Anna Pardini, just 20 days old, a life barely begun, extinguished in the name of reprisal. And then, the most chilling detail. When the killing was over, the SS soldiers sat down to eat. They shared bread, wine, meat, while the smoke of burning houses rose around them. This is the psychology of dehumanization. War doesn't just kill. It corrodes the mind until empathy disappears, until murder and a meal can exist side by side, without contradiction. We tell these stories because forgetting is too easy. If you want to see more of the hidden side of history, subscribe and share. That's how we keep memory alive. And now, since you've stayed with me until here, as you've come to expect, it's time for the Beneath Drop. So don't leave, because what comes next will reveal how justice was buried, not once, but for decades. For decades, the truth of Sant'Anna was not missing. It was hidden. In Rome, hundreds of Nazi war crime files were sealed inside a wooden cabinet. It became known as l'Armadio della Vergogna, the closet of shame. Inside, names of officers, orders they gave, reports of massacres, Sant'Anna among them. But the cabinet stayed closed until 1994. By then, most perpetrators had lived free for half a century. In 2005, an Italian tribunal sentenced 10 former SS officers to life in prison. Every trial was in absentia. Germany refused extradition. Its own courts dismissed the evidence. And the most shocking case, General Max Simon, commander of SS forces in Tuscany, tried by a British military tribunal in 1947, sentenced to death, but his sentence was reduced. In 1955, he was pardoned, released after barely 10 years. He died quietly in Germany in 1961. This is the Beneath Drop of Sant'Anna. A village erased. Justice denied. Crimes buried in silence. Today, Sant'Anna is not only silence, it is a national park of peace, declared in 2000. In 2012, it received the European Heritage Label, a site where Europe remembers its darkest lessons. The ruins remain. The ossuary holds the bones of hundreds. And in the museum, the faces of children stare back. Anna Pardini, 20 days old, her name preserved so she cannot be forgotten. Many survivors were themselves children. Hidden beneath the bodies of their parents, they survived the massacre through tears and smoke. One later recalled,
Avevo 6 anni, credevo di essere morta, poi ho capito che stavo ancora respirando.
And there is more to tell about Mussolini, about the Black Brigades he enabled, and about the silence that followed. If you want us to return to Sant'Anna, tell us in the comments. In the future, you may even find a link here. To that story continued. I walked these rooms, I looked at those faces, and I realized this place does not let you look away. Sant'Anna di Stazzema is not just history, it is a warning that peace is fragile, that silence can conceal truth, and that forgetting is the final act of violence.
Io avevo circa 9 anni e mezzo. Io ero alla più grande a 17 anni, io avevo 3